answer clearly shows the minister's economic illiteracy. As GDP per person has gone down, that means Canadians are getting poorer. And nobody loves this Liberal NDP Prime Minister more than the U.S. He drove our jobs, our investment, our business to the U.S. and now Canada is poorer than Alabama. That's why more than 2 million Canadians are in a food bank in a single month and 1 in 4 Canadians are skipping meals. Instead of letting bankers worry about the economy, call a carbon tax election now so common sense Conservatives can fix the budget and this country.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, as I say, I really urge the member opposite and all Conservatives to consult those GDP revisions, including their impact on GDP per capita. They will see we have had a strong economic recovery with inflation down and interest rates down. And that's why now is the time to give Canadians a little bit of extra help. With a GST break over the holidays and a rebate for working Canadians. And that is what the Conservatives should support us in offering to Canadians. It's really astonishing to me that they refuse to do that.
The Honourable Member for Northumberland, Peterborough South.
Mr. Speaker, I will let the bankers worry about the economy. You'll forgive me if I don't think about monetary policy. The budget will balance itself. These are the actual words of the Prime Minister of Canada. Given his complete disinterest in managing the economy, no one should be surprised that GDP per person has declined in 8 of the last 9 quarters. Mr. Speaker, it's time for a common-sense Conservative Prime Minister who will fix the budget, fight inflation, restore the promise of Canada. When will the Prime Minister finally give Canadians a say and call a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Minister for Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
A working-class Canadian voting for these Conservatives would be like a chicken voting for Colonel Sanders, Mr. Speaker. Think about it. We want to build an economy that works for everybody. When we raise taxes on the wealthiest 1% to cut them for 9 million Canadians in the middle class, they oppose those measures. When we stop sending childcare checks to millionaires to put more money in the pockets of 9 out of 10 Canadian families, they voted against it. Now we are proposing to cut taxes on household items that are going to help families and workers in this country. Yet again, they oppose it. I urge my colleague to drop the talking points, get over the stickers and caucus with whatever he's about to read, and get on with supporting households.
The Honourable Member from Northumberland, Peterborough South.
I urge the member to get on with Canadians' business and call a carbon tax election. After 9 years, according to the economists, Canada is now poorer than Alabama, the 4th poorest state in the U.S. While this Liberal government drives our economy further and further in the ditch with excessive taxation and regulation, the Canadian economy falls further and further behind while the American economy roars ahead. When will this government get out of the way and allow us to restore the promise of Canada by calling a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Minister for Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
It is like we are playing bingo here, the number of slogans that are being read off when people can't take their eyes off the sheet. Listen to this, is from an article recently. Conservatives talking about their own leader.
And then you go to read the sheet.
If you repeat the slogans, you get rewarded. You are celebrated in front of caucus for being a good cheerleader. The difference between us and them, I don't have to hold...
Order! The Honourable Minister, start from the top this time, please. No interruptions.
Mr. Speaker, the difference between the Liberals and Conservatives in question period, I don't need to have my notes in front of me to actually speak in the House. Mr. Speaker, they are being rewarded in caucus when they repeat the slogans in this House, not when they defend their communities at home. The Honourable Member won't even admit that his community would be better off receiving money for housing. He stands up and votes against measures once and twice and 3 times to deny tax breaks to families in his community. We are going to be here to support working families. I wish for once the Conservatives would join us.
The Honourable Member for Beauport, Limoilou. On Saturday, the Journal de Montréal asked how Ottawa could hire 43% more public servants and still be so bad at serving its citizens. Imagine despite hiring 110,000 civil servants, we've had a housing crisis and immigration is a mess, and it's even worse at the CRA. And the answer is that the Liberals spend their time creating new programs to interfere in health, housing, and so on. Do they realize that by meddling in Quebec's affairs, they've lost control of their own responsibilities?
The Honourable Minister.
The Honourable Minister.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the vast improvement in government services that have taken place over the last year. We could start with passports. Service improvements have gone across the country, and that's despite the fact that 2 years ago we were delivering 3.4 million passports. This year we're delivering up to 5.7 million passports. You can now get 10-day passports in the territories. There's a new processing center in BC, and soon you'll be able to get passports online, so you'll never have to wait in line again.
That sounds sketchy.
The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. The Journal de Montréal doesn't even reveal the full extent of the federal bureaucratic fiasco, because while the public service has ballooned by 43%, the use of subcontractors has also exploded. In addition to a loss of control within its own bureaucracy, resulting in service breakdowns for citizens, there's also a loss of control outside the bureaucracy, resulting in scandals like ArriveCan. And there's never just one minister in charge. How is it possible to be plunged into a fiasco of this magnitude without anyone being held accountable? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Mr. Speaker, one scandal would obviously forbid the Conservative Party or the Bloc to be opposed to the Canadian dental care plan, because more than 13,000 seniors have received care. And this means several thousand of them were able to go to the dentist for the first time in years, or other type of dental specialists. No, they voted against. The Conservatives and Bloc voted against these measures, and unfortunately my colleague knows that. The Honourable Member for